had the opportunity to attend the Save Day of Action event at the White House recently, and I learned all about the Save Student Loan Repayment Plan, and I'm really excited to share all my findings with you in this video. Hey guys, welcome back. It's Justine, your host of the Debt Free Millennials channel. Here we talk about all ways to help you achieve financial confidence, crush debt that leads to more fun and fewer payments, and that also means your student loan debt. We're going to be talking about what I learned at the Save Day of Action event at the White House, and we're talking about the Save Student Loan Repayment Plan. So what exactly is this plan? This is a new student loan repayment plan that went into effect of August of 2023, so last year. Save stands for Saving on a Valuable Education, and what it does is it lowers your monthly payment amount, and in many cases after 10 years there's a forgiveness component to it. Let's hop over to the studentaid.gov website and I'll show you what I saw. The Save plan replaces the old Repay plan. So this is an income-driven repayment plan that calculates your monthly payment based on your income and your family size. And this one is really interesting because it actually bases your payment on a smaller portion of your adjusted gross income. Also, there's an interest benefit component. So it says here, if you make your full monthly payment, but it is not enough to cover the accrued monthly interest, the government covers the rest of the interest that accrued that month. So that means it prevents your balance from really ballooning and growing due to unpaid interest. Now, also recently, something that went into effect with the Save plan is that borrowers who originally borrowed $12,000 or less can receive forgiveness after as few as 10 years. So in the old case and in other income-driven repayment plans, forgiveness was actually applied after 20 or 25 years, and now this is actually reducing and accelerating that timeline to 10 years. I also want to scroll down to this chart here. So I really liked this chart because it could break down easily to see before you even enroll in this plan whether or not this is something that would benefit you. So if you are a single income earner and you're making around $30,000, your payment could be zero, which is kind of insane. And then it goes up from there. So if you're making around $50,000 and it's just you, your monthly payment, estimated monthly payment is $143. They actually give this example down here of somebody making $38,000 who has a student loan balance of $25,000 with an interest rate of 5% under the Repay plan. So before this was restructured, the previous monthly payment for this individual would have been $134. Now under Save, because they are adjusting the income thresholds for this, so it's 225% above the poverty line, it actually reduces that monthly payment in this scenario to $43, which is, again, kind of crazy. Also, because this rolled out in 2023 and now there are going to be additional perks and benefits unrolling, I wanted to share that with you as well. So as this goes into effect in the summer, undergrad loan payments go down from 10% to 5% of discretionary income. So it says here, payments on undergrad loans will be cut in half. So it reduces it from 10 to 5% of income above the 225% of the poverty line. Also, it's got this forgiveness component baked in there, as I mentioned, in as soon as 10 years. It really is like case by case. So you kind of need to read through the fine print to figure out who is eligible for that accelerated forgiveness. And you can see here that shortest repayment term is for those who borrowed $12,000 or less. I think for the majority of us, it's going to be a lot more than that. But if that was you, or let's say you took out student loans, I think this is, and they mentioned this during the event, is the borrowers who may have taken out student loans but never finished college, it would be this person would probably be most eligible for that 10-year forgiveness who borrowed that amount of money, $12,000 or less. Also, let's go down here. If you've consolidated your federal student loans, consolidated under a federal student loan program right here, it won't erase your forgiveness progress, which I think is fantastic. Also, you can get credit for any periods of forbearance or deferments, so that applies to the Save plan, and then you're automatically enrolled in the Save plan if you've missed payments. So if you've missed payments 75 days or more that you're delinquent, you'll automatically be enrolled in an IDR plan if you've agreed to let the them, let the Department of Education access your tax information. Okay, now that you have a little bit of background about SAVE and what that repayment plan is, what I've learned is that more than 40 companies are committed to spreading the word about the SAVE plan. In fact, 7.7 million borrowers are already enrolled. Now, what was really cool about this opportunity is, I mean, I'm kind of thinking back like, oh my God, the White House had my email address. Of course they have my email. They have everybody's email address. But they reached out to me and said, hey, we recognize you as a personal finance educator who can spread the word about this new repayment plan. Come out to the White House, let's do this. By the way, I only had 7 days to make this decision. They sent out the invitation on a Wednesday. For the following Wednesday was the event. And I'm like, I live in LA. I need to book a flight to DC. This is crazy. I'm reshuffling my schedule, but what an opportunity. So I went there and I had the opportunity and the pleasure to speak with Secretary of Education Miguel Cardona on what his thoughts were around the SAVE plan. This is a person who championed for the SAVE repayment plan, and here's what he had to say. Hi guys, I am here with Secretary of Education Miguel Cardona, and we are talking all about the SAVE plan today. So I want to know, what is the juiciest features of the SAVE plan that you're most proud of?
All right, check it out. So go to studentaid.gov/save. That's for starters, you got to go there. If you took out a loan for under $12,000 and you've been paying it for 10 years, you're eligible for it to go away. If you sign up for SAVE, you know how the interest, you're paying interest and your principal never goes down? We cut that, we capped it. And then if you have undergraduate payments in they're kind of high, in the SAVE plan, those undergraduate loan repayments go down in half. That was one of the biggest sellers, and I remember the president pushing because he recognizes that when you get out of college, you're trying to get yourself, situated. You're trying to maybe get an apartment or buy a car or get yourself started. And having loans for your undergraduate degree that are $600, $700, $800 is just not realistic. So sign up for SAVE. There are a lot of benefits, a lot of juicy benefits. To this group of folks, I want to say that this administration recognizes the challenges that you have, the costs that you have that maybe previous generations didn't have, which is why we're fighting really hard to get as many people signed up. studentaid.gov/save. Check it out.
Love it. Thank you so much. You heard it first here from Secretary Cardona on the SAVE plan. You guys go check it out. Links in the description box below.
Thank you.
So really, really cool. I also heard from various economic experts about why they thought the SAVE plan would be really beneficial to the economy as a whole. I heard from economic advisors, the chief economist for the Department of Education. I heard from an economic professor from the University of Delaware. And one thing that I learned about the SAVE plan that I didn't previously know is that you can opt in to sharing your income information between the IRS and the Department of Education in order to certify yourself eligible for the SAVE plan. So no longer are you required to resubmit your information to the Department of Education, upload tax forms that's buried in a digital folder somewhere, or a W-2 that you've got to scan and upload, and it's just a mess. If you opt into that, then they know that they are getting the most current, accurate information between the IRS and the Department of Education to make sure that you are correctly enrolled into the SAVE plan and your monthly payment amount is actually accurate. Now, one thing during this panelist discussion was the profile of borrowers, and teachers specifically were mentioned several times. That's because when teachers are walking out of college, oftentimes with masters, they have very high amounts of student loan debt, and their entry starting positions are between $35,000 to $45,000 on average. So you're talking about a lower income, starting income with high amounts of student loan debt, and they're saying that this particular subset of borrowers and this person who has a teacher occupation could really benefit from something like SAVE. I also heard from Mayor Stephen Benjamin, who serves as a senior advisor to the president, who gave remarks on why the SAVE plan was really a great affordable option for borrowers, and he also also moderated a separate panel of various people who represent different organizations and companies who were also proponents and advocates of the SAVE plan. I heard from a representative from Civic Nation who's doing a whole campaign called Save on Student Debt. And I also heard from the Pearson Education Company, so a representative who works at Pearson who was saying, hey, yeah, we want to educate our employees on different student loan repayment options and just managing their debt better, which I really liked to see from a company perspective, that there are employers out there who are committed to helping their employees with their debt and with their financial situations to help them just better understand all of that. I also heard from a representative from the SEIU, that's the Service Employees International Union. Think of all of those service workers out there, frontline workers who were working during the pandemic, even though everything else was shut down. These were the workers who were going out in the field. These are also a subset of individuals who could potentially benefit from the SAVE plan, as well as a representative from the Chamber of Commerce. So lots of different organizations and people who were like, yes, SAVE, this is amazing. And then here are my thoughts and takeaways. I think it's really refreshing to see a restructuring of federal student loan repayment options, such as the repay, which now is SAVE. They also mentioned PSLF a couple of times, so that's the public service loan forgiveness. That's been in effect for a long time and honestly was a nightmare for so many people. That also got a facelift. So it's nice to see that these antiquated repayment programs are being restructured so it benefits borrowers who need that assistance the most. Also, I'm really happy to see that both SAVE and PSLF are not complicated to enroll, and the eligibility requirements are clear and it's not convoluted, and that you can easily go into studentaid.gov and do a calculator or kind of take a quiz to see what repayment option works best for you. And knowing that, being at the event and doing my own independent research, I really think SAVE is best for borrowers who have low income. Perhaps that's college graduates or occupations that typically pay out a lower income and have high amounts of student loan debt. That's where I think people who benefit from SAVE, that's the subset that I think is going to see the most benefit out of this program. Now also keep in mind, this is a fix on the back end. This is after people have graduated from college, after they started getting into that repayment period. So this is a fix on the back end. I'd really like to see what we're doing on the front end to help incoming college students afford tuition. We all know the inflation with tuition has just skyrocketed over the past few decades, truly, and it just increasingly gets more and more unaffordable, and I want to see exactly what we're doing to kind of stop the bleeding with tuition costs on the front end. And also the forgiveness component. I know this is a big hot topic for a lot of you, especially those of you who have already paid off your student loans. Like myself, you're like, oh my God, I put in the work. I paid off everything that I owed, and now we're talking about giving these borrowers some sort of forgiveness. They should still be on the hook. Let me tell you, forgiveness is not new. There are already baked in forgiveness into all of the income-driven repayment plans, such as, after 20 to 25 years, the remaining balance gets forgiven. And so forgiveness is not new. You got to remember that. The SAVE plan only accelerates it for a specific subset of borrowers. Now you're probably thinking, well, the money has to come from somewhere, right? A lot of people are like, well, it's probably taxes. We're probably going to get an increase in taxes. And so I have to think to myself, if my taxes are going to subsidizing some of these student loan debts and helping out borrowers, do I think this is going to help us overall as an economy? And the truth is, I don't know. Because here's the thing, there's a fine line between helping those who truly need assistance and enabling those who mishandle their financial privilege. When we're talking about these two different people, in my mind, the ones who need assistance, who are really going after it and making smart financial decisions, and then those who are taking the handout and then saying, okay, I can go ahead and spend more, I can put myself into more consumer debt, I can take out a bigger car payment, I can buy a house that may be 45-50% of my take home. That's mishandling the financial privilege that something like the SAVE plan affords. And so that's why it's super important that we put financial literacy literacy ahead of everything else so that we can take the assistance and benefits from something like a save plan or an income-driven repayment plan and really understand, okay, what's my next chess move here so that I can make sure I am setting myself up for a really healthy financial future. I would love to know in the comments, what do you think about the save plan? Is this something that's going to help or hurt borrowers, not you, the borrowers, and see how that's going to affect us as a whole? I think it's something like you got to look inward and then you got to look outward. Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much to the whole administration and the Deputy Program Council for inviting me out to DC. Can I get an invite back, please? That would be awesome. And I will catch you in the next one.